Okay, so Be'ezras Hashem, we are looking at Torah Kuf Nun Vav in Likkutei Moharan Chelik Aleph. And so Kuf Nun Vav starts off with a pasuk that is very, very much connected, to where we're at right now, which is the secret of Leiv Tahor Barali Elikim, Veruach Nachoin Chadish Bekirbi. David HaMelech says in Tehillim Perak Nun Aleph, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu create for me a purified heart, create for me a pure heart. And this is a clarion call towards returning in tshuva, towards awakening oneself. Everything is about awakening the heart. Rabbi Nachman came to speak directly to the heart, not the mind, to the heart. And so we're going to see how Rabbi Nachman suggests we understand this pasuk, Leiv Tahor Barali, Elikim V'ruach Nochen Chadish B'kirbi. Ki masha medabrim beino lebein kono hu b'chinas ruach hakodesh. Conversation that one has between themselves and their higher power, between themselves and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, between themselves in tefillah and hisbodedus. It's an aspect of ruach hakodesh, meaning to say that the speech that I'm saying in my conversation with HaKadosh Baruch Hu is ruach hakodesh. And we've discussed this nakuda that L'cha amar libi bikshu panai, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu whispers into our heart, that our heart should whisper out to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that even our positive motivations towards coming close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is in truth coming from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So when I'm speaking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the words are leaving my mouth by way of a vulnerable heart. I bypass the defense mechanisms of the mind, and it becomes an aspect of Ruach HaKodesh, inspired speech, meaning to say that I am conveying the messages to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants me to convey to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'David HaMelech, alav hashalom, and David HaMelech, may his memory be blessed, shahaya ma'alaso gedola ma'od. When it comes to talking about the greatness of David HaMelech, his maila, his ascendancy in spirituality was very, very high. It's important to stress because David HaMelech teaches us so much about what it means to find ourselves in low places, how to free ourselves from low places. So one might come to think that perhaps David HaMelech really found himself in these low places because he needed to go into those low places for himself. But Kol Mi She'amar David Chata Eino Ela Toa, somebody who says that David HaMelech sinned is simply foolish, because the true understanding of David HaMelech's experience in this world is the aspect of Ashrei HaGever Asher Hukam Al, that praiseworthy is the individual who created the Ol of Tshuva. David HaMelech went down in order so that we can find hope. David HaMelech polished all of the filthy places that we would eventually find ourselves in the process of exile, and the ability for a Yid to uncover Nekuda Tova from those places is because David HaMelech went down and clarified those places. But in truth, David HaMelech's Maila was Gedolam Od, and David HaMelech was Yasad Mizeh Sefer Tehillim. David HaMelech built the Sefer Tehillim based on this principle that the words that I speak out to you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, are in truth the words that you are speaking through me in the aspect of Ruach HaKodesh. Because Tehillim is the Hisbodedus of David HaMelech. And the Hisbodedus of David HaMelech becomes the Sefer of Tehillim, which gives us the power to awaken ourselves to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'chein kol echad lefi bechinaso hu bechinas Ruach HaKodesh. And that which is true about David HaMelech, that his words and his conversations with HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the moments of struggle, in the moments of concealment, just as his words are canonized and concretized in the Sefer of Tehillim, so too each and every person has a piece of David HaMelech in them. Each and every person has that nekuda of David Melech Yisrael Chai V'Kayim. And so when we encounter that place of David HaMelech, when we speak to HaKadosh Baruch Hu from that place of impoverishment of spirit, of having nothing left but Hashem's help, so then our words become like Ruach HaKodesh, just like David HaMelech. Kamosha Kasuv, like the pasuk says, L'cha amar libi, that to you my heart speaks. Kamosha Perish Rashi, what is Rashi's explanation? L'cha, to you, what does Rashi say? To you, my heart speaks actually means b'shvilcha u'b'shlichusecha. My heart speaks for you as a messenger of you. The heart speaking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is serving as a messenger to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but a messenger is receiving a message from someone who's sending him out as a messenger. So if the heart is a messenger, who's sending the message into the heart? Elama, it's b'shlichusecha. My heart is a shliach of you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And when I open up my heart begins to offer me intimations and hints as to what you want from me, Rabbi Shalom. B'shvilcha b'shlichusecha, amar li libi. My heart speaks to me on your behalf, Rabbi Shalom. You speak through my heart, and my heart speaks to me, awakening me to you. Shekol hadvarim shahalev omer. All of the things that the heart says in moments of real vulnerability and openness and hisbodedus de kedusha and real conversation with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, him divrei Hashem yisbarach mamish. In truth, they're the words of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that are moving through me, that are being expressed through the particular tzimtzum of my mind, my heart, and my experience, each person in accordance to their heart movings and the murmurings of their heart. That is the tzimtzum through which HaKadosh Baruch Hu is being megala himself. And when I listen to those words that are coming out through my tzimtzum that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is revealing through me, it's the aspect of Ruach HaKodesh. I can learn something if I attune myself and I listen to the words that I speak to Hashem in moments of vulnerability. I can uncover hints and messages from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'tzarich lechadesh tamid. And a person must perpetually recreate themselves and perpetually renew themselves in the aspect of calling out to Hashem. Levakesh bechol pam betachanunim v'divrei ritzuyim chadashim. And each time that a person comes to talk to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for example, the day has been too much, Hashem, I need you to help me today. I need you to free me from this concealment. I need you to pick me up out of this concealed place. That element has to be renewed each and every day. The urgency with which I reached out to HaKadosh Baruch Hu yesterday is not enough for me to reach out to HaKadosh Baruch Hu today with. I need a new level of urgency. I need to be mechadesh myself again, to ask anew each and every time with tachanunim, with crying out, with divrei ritzuyim chadashim, of trying to convince HaKadosh Baruch Hu, trying to ingratiate myself in the eyes of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I have to awaken that anew each time. And we all know how hard it is. We all know how impossible that feels. But so how does a person merit this possibility of recreating and resparking the private dialogue with HaKadosh Baruch Hu each time? How does one ensure that the inherent connection of Ruach HaKodesh between me and HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't grow old and it doesn't fall under the sway of heaviness and just repetition? So it's a schus. It's not just I have good words to say. A person can say 1,000,000 words to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. A person could write the most beautiful book for HaKadosh Baruch Hu with their lips. But if it's not mechudash, if it's not coming from a new place of urgency, then it's not recreating that sense of connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So what do we have to do in order to merit this renewal of the heart each time we cry out to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? In order to be zocha to this, tzarich taharas halev. We need purity of the heart. What is purity of the heart? What is the softness of the heart? What is the secret of a leiv tahor bari elokim? What is the secret of a heart that's filled with tumah? What's the secret of the pegam of the leiv? What's the secret of the klipa that covers over a person's heart that blocks them from connecting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what's referred to as timtum halev, the defilement of the heart? Or what the Arizal refers to as the hardest klipa to ever break through, which is the leiv ha'evan, a heart of stone, unallowing ourselves to feel. When Rabbeinu says, Basof kulam yu Breslov, the Svarim say that Breslov is leiv basar, a heart of flesh, a feeling heart, a vulnerable heart. So what does one do in order to recreate that vulnerability at the heart of the heart? A person needs taharas halev. And how does a person encounter taharas halev? What is the taharas halev necessary to clarify the place so that I can renew my diburim to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Taharas halev hu al yedei shemislahev hu boer libo laHashem yisbarach. The way that the heart is purified is when the heart is awoken to the burning desire that it feels to reach upwards out of this world and connect itself to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The heart knows the pain of experience. The heart knows the anxiety of experience. The heart knows the joys and the pleasures of experience. The heart is the melech in the body. The heart represents emotionality, not intellect, but rather the place where the intellect becomes emotions. the moods in which I live, the vulnerability, not just what I know, but how I allow myself to be moved by reality. When I allow my heart to be moved, I come to a place of realizing that Rabbeinu Shalom, I don't know where, I don't know what, I don't know how, and I don't know when, but I know that I need you. And at that point, something is awoken from the innermost point of the heart, which is a burning desire, the Ru'usa Deliba, the desire of the heart, which reaches far higher than the yearning of the mind. And it runs upwards with a burning desire to come closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shemislahev uboer libo LaHashem Yisbarach. This does not express itself by dancing. This does not express itself by anything taking place externally. This expresses itself simply in the innermost chambers of an individual's heart. Al Yedei Zeh, through the burning desire that is uncovered within the heart to come closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and very often the only way to come to that place is feeling that I can't survive another second without it. Al Yedei Zeh netaher halev. It's like libun. It's like taharas hakelim. How do I clean a kli? How do I get rid of all of the lachluchias and get rid of all of the tuma and all of the impurities? By burning it in fire. By burning it in fire, mamish, by eshu b'mayim, a person goes through fire. The heart has to be on fire for the Rabbeinu Shlalem. The heart has to be perpetually in a state of realizing that Rabbeinu Shlalem, give me one more second of Yishuv Adas with you. I'll give everything for one more second of Yishuv Adas. It doesn't mean that I'm actually accessing Yishuv Adas. I'm desiring Yishuv Adas. And that burning desire has to be at play at every moment in a person's heart. If I look around at a traffic jam and I'm upset, it's because my heart needs to yearn more for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I have to take that moment and say, Rebbeinu Shalom, I want to be out of this place of concealment and stuckness. I'm tired of the anger. I'm tired of the sickness. I'm tired of the sadness. I'm tired of the self-loathing. I want to connect to you. That is the burning of the heart that goes from the lowest place to the highest place in a second. Kineged shenislahev univayer la'avera o la'tavara achas v'shalom shemizen netame libo neged zeh sarich sheyislahev v'yabayar libo la'Hashem Yisparach. Because the impurity of the heart comes about by the burning desire that the heart has for everything but HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the things that are more destructive for us are simply because we imagine that that's where we're going to find HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So it's the burning desire of the heart that yearns with all of the ferocity, not for the pleasures of the sin or the transgression, but for what the heart imagines the transgression is going to give it. The heart wants relief, and therefore the heart assumes that this behavior is going to bring relief. And that burning desire that the heart has, where the place of the Yetzer Hara, that is mitame the heart. It conceals the heart. It stops the heart from feeling the vulnerable movements of spirituality, and it blocks the mind from realizing that what I need all along is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And in accordance with the burning desire that we've had for other things in the year, whether deliberately or accidentally, we need to have the burning power of the heart that is yearning upwards at every second in order to be mataheret. V'al yedei zeh, and through this, yetaher libo, through the burning power and the desire of the heart to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the heart slowly is purified, which is taharas halev, which is where true diburim to HaKadosh Baruch Hu are going to come from. Kamasha Kasav, like the pasuk says, Kol davar asher yavo be'esh ta'aviru be'esh. Anything that has been burnt or licked by fire must be transformed and purified through fire as well. Just as the fire destroyed the Beis HaMikdash, so too will the fire rebuild the Beis HaMikdash. Be'esh asid livnosa. What esh? It's the fire in the heart of each person. That's the secret of ha'esha litukat advias HaMashiach. When Rabbeinu says, man fire will burn until the coming of Mashiach, that means the burning fire at the heart of each and every yid that knows in moments of pain that the only place to run to is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ukashiesh lo taharas halev, and when a person has the purity of heart through the burning desire towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu, then a person has the ability of leiv chadash, leiv tahor bari elikim v'ruach chadash, v'ruach nachon chadesh b'kirbi. There's his chadshus. A person is able to find new things to say to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because every moment that the heart is yearning, the thing that it's yearning for feels to move slightly away from me, which means that I have to have more yearning. As Rabbeinu describes in the third day of the 7 beggars, by the stuttering beggar. And when the stuttering beggar says, in truth, you thought I didn't know how to speak, but I have the most beautiful speech in the world. I could speak songs of love and yearning that take a person out of this world. And how do I know? I know it from the heart of the world. Because he says that there is a mountain with a stream on top of the mountain. and there is the heart of the world that yearns to get to that stream. But the only thing that the heart can do is to yearn to get to the stream. And anytime it actually makes a decision to try and come down and reach the stream, it loses sight of it and it can't live anymore because it doesn't remember what it's yearning for. And so there's a ga'aguim, and there's a yearning that is burning at the heart of the world, belev ha'olam, which expresses itself in each and every one of our hearts, which is yearning upwards to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That gives me the ability to have new diburim chadashim, which is the aspect of Ruach HaKodesh. And that's the explanation of the pasuk, Lev tahor bari Elokim, that a purified heart HaKadosh Baruch Hu has created for me, meaning to say that I awaken the burning desire within my heart to purify the burning desire that I had for things that I thought would replace Hashem. And as a result of the purification of the heart, a ruach nachon, a ruach memala, a new ability to speak to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is awoken within my heart. That a person can say something new to Hashem. We can show up and say something new to Hashem with a little bit more emphasis, with a little bit more urgency. Shehem bechinas ruach hakodesh. That's the aspect of ruach hakodesh. Let's look at the ha'ara here. If everyone has the sefer, we can see that there's a ha'ara here, a footnote. So Rabbi Nachman says as follows: Ki al yedei chamimus halev, through the burning desire of the heart, al yedei zeh megarish ruach hatuma. This is what pushes away ruach hatuma. Why? Ki teva ha'esh, the nature of fire, which is really gavuros, the awakening of the heart in its intensity, is always a sense of distance. The heart is never where it needs to be. The heart is always in a place of yearning desire. It's the place of cultivating desire. And so the nature of the heart, the nature of the fire of the heart, shemegarish ha'avir, that fire takes air out of the room. It feeds off of the air. It feeds off of the oxygen. As those who study the materials of this world understand, that the fire draws its energy from the oxygen, which means that it causes the oxygen to dissipate from the room. This is what it means, that the kane sreifa, the elements of breath, they inhale and they exhale, they grow in accordance with the heat that is moving into the lungs. Ki al yedei koach ha'esh, that it's through this power of fire, this awakening and passion, borecha avir, the avir runs away. The avir runs away. Va'avir hu doiche es hadvarim shemalu bahem es hakane sreifa. And what the air does is it empties out the heart. It pushes out the air that was filling the lungs. And we can also explain a number of things with regards to this principle, the haklal, but the general principle is sha'esh megarish ha'avir, that the fire pushes away air. Al kain, for that reason, ha'chamimus halev, chamimus halev, the burning fire of the heart, sheboer laHashem yisbarach, which is a fire that's burning for Hashem, ha'esher litukad ad v'yaskoyel, megarish haruchos, it pushes away the ruach shtus, it gets rid of the insanity, it gets rid of the shtus, it gets rid of my inability to face up to what I need in this world, which is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It actually pushes away the ruach hatuma. And this is how the heart is being refined. Again, this is the chiddush of Rabbeinu. Rabbeinu is saying the most profound spiritual teaching, and then he's saying, and this is also found in the way that I understand the body to work, meaning to say that spiritual teachings are not simply something that's out there, but there's also a mushal for them within the body itself, like we've spoken about. Zok the Heilige Rebbe. Okay, fine. So we want to have new diburim in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which means that we have to have a burning fire that allows us to create a taharas halev. The way that the taharas halev comes about is by the burning desire of the heart. But how does one awaken the burning desire of the heart? So Zakter Rabbi Nachman as follows: in order to come to the burning desire and the warmth of the heart to HaKadosh Baruch Hu al yedei tenua. It takes place by way of movement. Just as friction creates heat in reality, so too it's the friction of the mind against itself. It's the encounter of two opposing thoughts in the mind that creates a movement, which will then create the heat of the mind, which will then create the purity of the heart, which will then create the opportunity to speak again with fresh eyes to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hiatnua, movement, ma'orer chamimus, it awakens heat. Frictional force, gevuros, things separating themselves and reconnecting and separating and reconnecting in rapid speed, it creates a heat, kemosha anu ra'oim b'chush, as we see in reality. Im yizrok chetz v'yatchov berosho sha'ava, if you shoot an arrow and you place a wick on top of it, then that flammable thing will actually heat up and it will light as a result of the speed of the arrow. That speed and the ferocity of force gives birth to warmth. Again, this is true when a person is learning iyun. When a person is learning iyun, their mind is in a state of tnua. When a person is thinking about something, the severity of the mind is when the mind is going back and forth, trying to grapple with an idea, trying to figure out the what of the why and the how of something. They said about Rav Chaim Brisker that after limud, he would have to literally put his head into like an ice box in order to like lower the temperature of his mind, because the iyun haseichel demands such ferocity of the mind that it awakens a movement and a speed that creates that fire. When a person is moving back and forth, pacing in their mind, feeling one thing and then the next thing, and then ruts of a shov running up and running down, through this tnua, through this movement, it causes a person to sweat. Again, so movement and separation and reconnection, which is the definition of movement, that's what's going to create the frictional force of heat. The ikar hatnua, and what is the main site in which movement is perpetually taking place, the one thing that is never resting, always moving, that's the machshava, as Rabbeinu says in Chai Moharan, that the mind is like the second hand on a clock that never stops running. It runs so fast, it's like a tire on the road that appears to be not moving because it's moving so quickly. And the ikar place of movement is in the thoughts and in the mind, the ruminations of the mind. In the beginning, the mind is calm. In the beginning, the mind is clarified. And then the mind begins to warm up and jump from one thought to the other, which is friction, which is movement, which creates the heat, which creates the purity, which creates the ability of his chadshus. When a person is sitting where they're at, they thought to sit. And then when a person wants to get up and walk, now the mind switches from its original thought and it transitions to a new thought, which is now telling the person to walk rather than to sit. And what this does is it awakens a warmth within the self. It awakens a friction that creates a burning desire. And through this kind of perpetual back and forth of my day, where my thoughts are shifting and turning every second of my life, I awaken a heat, I awaken a movement, I awaken a desire, I awaken the recognition that I need to direct myself somewhere. And therefore, when a person is asleep, why do we have to cover ourselves with blankets when we're asleep? When the mind is still and it's not moving and it's operating in an unconscious level of the dreamscape, so then there's no warmth, there's no heat, there's no friction within the mind that is awakening the burning desire within the heart, and therefore we have a tendency of getting cold, which is why we have to cover ourselves. Ukamoi came beruchnias. So too when it comes to ruchnias, says Rabbeinu. When the mind thinks about the greatness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and his Torah, and it's moving from one thought to another thought, and it's shifting its orientation each and every moment, finding new defense mechanisms in terms of how to come back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Al yedei tenua, through the movement of the mind, moirid chamimus, the heat comes down from the mind, ubayir liboy l'Hashem yisparach, the mind comes down and it illuminates the heart, and the heart burns even higher than where the thoughts are coming from. The mind gives the power to the thought. The mind gives the power to the thought to then awaken the emotion, and then the emotion opens itself up to yearn for his chadshus, that leiv tahor. That warmth of the thought comes down and awakens the heart to yearn and open itself up to the yearning, burning desire for Hashem. The main way that we orient ourselves to the notion of heat in this world, which expresses itself in the foundation of fire of the Arbi Yasodos, is that it receives that speed and that heat from the Galgel of the Koichavim, that the celestial bodies are always in movement. Shemayim is always moving. And therefore the Yesod Ha'esh is always moving, and therefore the Machshava is always moving. The movement comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The movement of the mind comes from the movement of the Kochavim, which comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu's desire to be Meshana Itumu, to be Machlev Zmanim, and that awakens a changing of the guard, which awakens the heat and the need to awaken that desire. Ki yesod ha'esh, the foundation of fire prior to heat actually emerging, but the purified realm of fire, which is where HaKadosh Baruch Hu reveals the koyach of Gevura, hu lamala meyasod ha'avir v'samach legalgalim. It's the loftiest place in which a person can connect themselves to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When I attach myself to HaKadosh Baruch Hu by way of the Gevuros, by way of the Eish, what I'm doing is I'm connecting myself. I'm connecting myself to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in a way that awakens a connectivity that is far beyond avir, that is far beyond calmness. When I attach myself to intensity, I'm attaching myself to the root of all fire, to that place that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has placed in the world to awaken my desire. Al kein ayedesha matzdik harabim. Now Rabbi Nachman says, here's what we have to do. When a person wants to awaken this heat within themselves, in order to awaken their heart, in order to purify their heart, in order to open up themselves and speak new words to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we have to be matzdik harabim. We have to find goodness for other people. We have to create the light for other people. We have to create that offering to others. We have to benefit others, to be matzdike harabim. That's one way to awaken ourselves to that heat of the mind. If a person can't do it on their own, and a person can't spark their connectivity to HaKadosh Baruch Hu on their own, then help others spiritually. When a person draws other people closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when a person offers the teachings of the tzaddikim, when a person awakens vulnerability within another, or if a person is not giving a shir, then a person has the opportunity to be matzdik the rabbim by judging them favorably. This is also called kiruv. It's also called being makariv levavos, when you judge them favorably in the secret of Reish Pei Beis. This is also a way of short-circuiting the concealment of the mind and awakening a renewed desire for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because the kochavim are the source of that scintillation, that starting and that stopping, that represents the burning flames of connectivity and disconnection, and that's the source of the fire in this world. And the fire in Ruchnius is that which is meant to awaken the heart towards the purification of the heart. And another way of awakening that fire is by being matzdike harabim, kechavim, that the stars are referred to as that which performs deeds and services for others. I illuminate the path for another person. That's also a way of awakening within my heart the ability to come closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is why one of the best eitzos in being choser b'tshuva is to judge others favorably, to find good things about other people. Like the pasuk says, that those who find merit in the other, those who judge others favorably, those who awaken the fire within another person, they're like the stars. The stars are the source of that fire within the heart, and it purifies the heart. Helping another, even if you're not holding by that madrega, purifies the heart to get you to that madrega. It purifies the heart to get a person to that madrega. When I become a star for another person to be their source of illumination, I am then receiving a light that comes from even beyond that, because I'm receiving a light from the source of that light. Which means that when I'm doing for another, I gain more kochos for myself, things that I would not have access to if I was not doing for another person. The Gra said that the children of the Gra said that the words of the Gra are like kechavim, they're like stars. And so the Talmidei Agra said it means that it's a light that appears small, but it is massive and it illuminates the path for other people. That's what it means to be a kochav. That's what it means to be somebody who awakens the light for other people. Like the Rebbe Rashab, they asked the Rebbe Rashab, what does it mean to be a chassid? And he said it means to be a lamplighter, to light another person's lamp. Every single person in this world, every yid in this world is walking around with a lamp that is either lit or unlit. And it is my job to every yid that I see to illuminate their lamp, to give them the koyach to be mashpia more than they felt prior to them meeting me. That is the job of a person, to awaken that burning fire that can illuminate for others. And then two people could have light. And by doing that, if, because I'm using light to share it with other people, I need to draw down a source of light, so then I get to hold on to that light afterwards, and that light, that awakening, that fire, that burning desire of closeness, even though I'm not holding by that madrega that I'm talking about, nevertheless, it awakens a burning fire within my heart like the stars, that they receive, shemakabla melamala umaridim lamata, that they receive from above them and they express down below. But someone who is not drawing down the awakening of the heart from a place that comes from beyond them. Even if I might be helping another person, it's only for the moment. If a person is trying to help another person because they feel that they have the koach to help another person, so then the heat that they give to the other person, the warmth they offer to another person will continue, but the warmth will not affect me positively because I have not drawn that light down from a place higher than what I'm capable of. But when I recognize that my koach to share with another yid and to judge somebody else favorably comes from a place far beyond me, it comes from the Lev Elyon, it comes from the higher star. So at that point, I draw down a power greater than myself, and then I'm able to benefit from it afterwards as well, even though I'm not holding there. That's more like heating up water. When you burn something and you get it very hot and you throw it into the water, then the water is only going to boil for a moment, and the burning of that iron is going to dissipate because it's not receiving its source of heat from something beyond it. When a person is drawing their source of heat from something beyond themselves, from the star above them, from the recognition of bittul, so then I will be able to also benefit from drawing down that hislavos halev, which will open up the vulnerability of the heart, purify the impurities of the heart, give me a lev tahor, which will enable me to speak new words of vulnerability to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And let's just read this last paragraph over here, where Rabbi Nassan is explaining exactly what was happening in this Torah. From the words ulavo lehislavos, meaning from the second paragraph, ad kan, till the end of this teaching, lo nichtav yafa keseder. It's not written in the proper order. Hilo shamati zeh ha'inyan mipiv hakadosh ba'atzmo, because I didn't hear this teaching explicitly from the mouth of Rabbeinu. Rak mipi acher b'shmo. I only received it from the mouth of another person. V'ikar ha'inyan ayin la'el b'Torah atika tamir v'sasim siman chaf aleph, which we discussed last week. Sham muvarim hakdamos elu ba'arichos. These matters are discussed at length. V'haklal, but the general principle that we have to remember is as follows: Shetnuas ha'seichel, the movement of the mind, creates warmth within the heart. And that warmth within the heart allows me to reach upwards. When I'm able to grasp or think about HaKadosh Baruch Hu and my mind is running, Al Yedei Kedusha Shiva Saneros, how am I zocha to that light of das? By purifying the 7 candles. What are the 7 candles? We said shayftim v'shaytrim titin l'chol b'chol sharecha. The eyes, the nostrils, the ears, the mouth. When those things are protected and a person ensures that they're trying to live with a certain element of tahara, then it's shalheves oile me'aleha. Then that yearning desire awakens from within itself. Sham in Torah Chaf Aleph. Al Yedei, through this, a person merits to the burning desire of the heart towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as it's explained there. And through the burning desire, Al Yedei Hislavus Halev, through that endless desire to connect to the Rabbeinu Shloim, because it's the only way I can survive. It is that urgency that pushes out and it gets rid of all of the Ruach Tumah, all of the heaviness, all of the concealment, all of the speechlessness, all of the sense that I'm doing the same thing over and over again, which is the Ruach Shtus. That's the mindlessness and the chaos of the mind. And when a person yearns beyond what they feel they're capable of drawing down, they purify their hearts. And then at the edge of urgency, where I allow my heart to burn with the desire for what it knows it can never fully have, I awaken within myself a newness of words. Every time that I find myself in Hisbodedus, every time that I'm trying to open my heart to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'm a little bit more vulnerable, until I'll be able to say the things that I truly want to say. And that point I can be zocha to the secret of, to the secret of Ruach HaKodesh Mamish, where a person's heart and a person's words of their heart begin to express the Ratzon of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Rabbi Nachman says, if I am mevatel myself properly, I can listen in on my own words, I can listen in on the things that I'm speaking out to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and I can learn about the path that I need to go to. I can learn about what the next step is for me, because at that point, I just become a vehicle. And this is the avodah of tshuva. The avodah of tshuva is an awakening ourselves to the need for a purified heart. And there's 2 paths to that purity of the heart. Number 1 is by awakening itself to the burning desire towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu and yearning. And the other is going to be by thinking positively about others and uncovering the positive points within their heart to awaken their heart. But only when I realize that I don't have the power to do that, I'm doing that through the light that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given me to awaken the heart of another Yid. And that also draws down the Hislavus Halev. The burning desire of the heart purifies the heart, but it must be for the purpose of opening up my mouth and speaking to you, Rabbanu Shlalem, because it's only when we allow ourselves to say what truly needs to be said and to say what we're always so afraid of saying that we begin to open ourselves up upon the path of tshuva that David Malka Mashiach opened for us, even if it's stuttering, even if it's ugly. Rav Hutner has a beautiful letter where he writes to a Talmud trying to give him chizuk. He says, I'm so sorry that I write so fancily. I'm so sorry that I write with such eloquence of speech. I wish you can throw out the beautiful klipa of my words and take the harsh fruit of what I'm actually trying to tell you. It's not about the beauty of our language. That's not what it means. It's about renewing ourselves with honesty and vulnerability in the face of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that's what creates the Ruach HaKodesh Mamish Be'ezras Hashem.